So the orthogonality property here is the property which helps us in uncoupling the uh, equation of motion, the governing equation of motion, and that uncoupling basically helps us in using the idea of mode shapes in both free vibration as well as forced vibration response of multiple degree of freedom systems. So here the basic definition of orthogonality property is that the two vectors v and w uh, are the two vectors, and you have, let's say, one matrix A. So v and w will be orthogonal to each other with respect to A if this equation holds, that v transpose times A matrix into W is a null vector. If this is the condition which is fulfilled, then we say that V and W are orthogonal to each other with respect to the matrix A. So now we will prove that the mode shapes are also orthogonal to each other with respect to both the mass matrix as well as the stiffness matrix. So the basic orthogonality property is that if I have a mode shape vector which is phi I, and if I take its transpose and multiply with mass matrix and multiply with it another mode shape, let's say phi j, I will get a zero value. I will get a you can say uh, a value which is zero, and then the this will prove that the mode shapes I and the mode shape j, they are orthogonal to each other. Similarly, the mode shapes are also orthogonal to each other with respect to K matrix, stiffness matrix. So if I multiply phi I transpose with K matrix and phi j, I will again get 0. So the only non-zero values I will obtain if this I and j are equal, which means that if we have the same mode shapes on both places, only then we will have non-zero value. So this is a property which mode shape vectors have, the orthogonality property. And this property is very useful, and we will use this property to basically formulate an analysis procedure based on the idea of mode shapes. So you can say that the modal matrix phi ij is orthogonal to itself with respect to M and K matrices. The modal matrix is a matrix which has all mode shapes of a structure as its columns. So phi1, phi2, phi3, all the mode shapes, if they are arranged as the columns of a matrix, you will have an n by n matrix where n is the degree of freedom, and that n by n matrix is the modal matrix, the capital phi matrix. So the capital phi matrix is orthogonal to itself. So you will see that the capital phi matrix transpose times the mass matrix times the capital phi matrix again will be a diagonal matrix. It will have all zero values except diagonal, because in diagonal you will have mode shapes being multiplied which are same. So here you will have first mode shape multiplied with the first mode shape here, the second with second, third with third. So only diagonal values will be non-zero for this matrix, and the off diagonal terms will be zero. So this is another form of the same orthogonality property, the same thing which I write here. If I condense all the mode shapes in a matrix, then the orthogonality property will simply mean that this product will be a diagonal matrix. Similarly, if I replace K here, this product also will be a diagonal matrix. So this is a very useful property, and let's quickly derive it first, and then I will go to the same structure in ETABS and we will confirm this property. So let's first, for example, write the eigenvalue equation for the ith mode. So you will have k phi I equal to omega I square m into phi I. So this is the same eigenvalue equation for any ith mode. You can write it for the jth mode also. Now what you can do is that you can multiply for the ith mode equation, you multiply phi transpose phi j. So you multiply this with the equation 7, and then you multiply phi I transpose with the equation 8, which was primarily the jth mode's eigenvalue equation. So you will get this equation 9 and 10 by this multiplication. Now what you can do is that you can take the transpose of this equation 9. So if you take the whole transpose here, so it will basically, you know already that AB whole transpose is basically equal to B transpose into A transpose. So you will have phi I transpose here, which is basically now this vector, and K transpose, and the transpose of transpose will be again the same matrix. So you know already that A transpose of transpose is again the A matrix or vector. So now phi j transpose, again transpose will be phi j simply. And same here will be for right hand side also. These will be replaced. Phi I will be now here with phi I transpose, and phi j transpose will be simply phi j now. Now you can uh, have this equation. This is the same equation, and then we can equation 11 can be simply, you can say, rearranged or written again with the fact that K and M matrices are symmetric, so their transpose is equal to the same matrix. Both the mass matrix and K matrix are symmetric. So we just replace K transpose with only K and M transpose with only M. So what we can do is, with this replacement, we can simply subtract the equation 12 from equation 10. So we subtract these two equations, and on the left hand side I will simply have this uh, phi I transpose K into phi J, phi I transpose into K into phi J, so it will be simply 0. The subtraction will be 0. And on the right hand side I will have the same thing here and same thing here. So I will simply have this thing as common, and phi j square minus, oh sorry, omega j square minus omega I square. So now this product is 0. We know already that omega j and omega I are two different modes and their frequency cannot be same. So this product should be 0. So for different I and j, we confirm that now this product is 0, and that product is phi I transpose into mass into phi j. So whenever we have two different modes and we take first mode's transpose, mass multiply with mass matrix and multiply with the second mode, we will get a 0 value. Same thing can be shown for K matrix also. So I and j, if they are different numbers, then this product will be 0. This will be a non-zero value only if I and j are the same number, which means that you use the same mode shape on both sides, on both places of this multiplication. So only then in that case, when I and j are same, then this product will be 0 and not this one. That will have a non-zero value. So this is the orthogonality property of mode shapes. So if I and j are same, which means that you use the same mode shape in both places, then you will have a non-zero answer, and let's call that non-zero answer as mu, and that is basically called the modal mass. And if I go for the K matrix, and in that case the non-zero value which I will get will be this mu I into omega I square, and that is the modal stiffness. So the summary is that when we multiply phi I transpose mass with phi j, we get a 0 value for I not equal to j and a non-zero value called the modal mass for I equal to j. So the modal mass is defined as the product of these three numbers when j is also equal to I. So for any phi I given, you can calculate mu I now by having this multiplication, phi I transpose into mass matrix into phi I again, the same phi I again. So you can calculate mu I from this multiplication. Similarly, you can also show here that this product will have these answer these non-zero value, and let's call that as modal stiffness. Modal stiffness, just like we call the modal mass, here we call it the modal stiffness. So it is equal to the modal mass times the frequency of that mode square. For single degree of freedom system, you can confirm that the relationship between mass and stiffness is the same, which is defined by the omega. So also for single degree of freedom system, the mass is equal to the stiffness is equal to mass times the omega square. So let's now define the modal matrix, which is a square matrix n by n, and it has all the mode shapes as its columns. So it's a square matrix, capital Phi. So if we carry out this multiplication, capital Phi transpose times mass times capital Phi again. So it is not a vector, by the way, this is just a representation that now these all mode shapes will be transposed and it will be a square matrix times the mass matrix times the original capital Phi. We get another square matrix, but the result or implication of this orthogonality property is that only the diagonal entries will be non-zero values and all the off-diagonal terms will be zero. So because in off-diagonal terms, two different mode shapes would be multiplied. So only in the diagonal values, the first mode with first mode, second mode with second mode, and third with third, and nth with nth mode. So you will have all the modal masses in the diagonal and all the off-diagonal terms will be zero. This is another form of the orthogonality property or another result of the orthogonality property. Similarly, if you carry out this multiplication for stiffness, you will have this diagonal matrix in which all the diagonal terms will be modal stiffnesses and there will be no off-diagonal terms. Now this orthogonality property can be verified also, can be confirmed also from the real mode shapes of a structure, and we will go in a moment there. But first, something about this property, that you can interpret it in this way, that for example, if you have an nth mode inertia forces, the work done by these forces in going through any other modes displacements will be zero. It will work only, the work done by nth mode's inertial forces will have a non-zero value only when you consider the displacements in the same nth mode. Or you can interpret in this way also, that the equivalent static forces associated with displacements in nth mode in going through the any other rth mode will be zero. So the work done by the equivalent static forces, which is corresponding to any nth mode, will only displace, or the work done because of the displacements in nth mode only will be non-zero. For any other mode, this work done will be zero. One last thing about the normalization of the mode shapes, and there can be two ways we can normalize. Because for example, we know already that for phi1, if it is a modal vector, any constant multiplied by phi1 is also the modal vector, because the absolute values doesn't matter. So you can multiply phi1 with any number, you can divide it with any number, the pattern will still remain same and the mode shape will still remain same. The second way is that you normalize the mode shape with the modal mass. So this mu value basically depend on how we normalize the mode shape. So the first way is out of two common ways for the normalization of mode shapes. The first way is that you just divide the mode shape such that the top number, the roof value is 1. So if phi1 I is representing the roof value for a particular mode shape, you divide it such that all the values you divide such that the roof number is 1. Similarly, for second mode also you divide such that the roof value is 1, and so on. Another way of normalizing mode shapes is that you normalize such that phi I transpose into mass into phi I, which is the modal mass mu I, is equal to 1 for each mode. So this is a second way of normalizing mode shapes, that you give such a factor to these mode shapes such that this product is equal to 1 for each mode. So you normalize first mode such that phi1 into mass times into phi1, here you have transpose, this product is equal to 1. You can separately modify phi2 or normalize it such that phi2 transpose into phi2 is equal to 1. And by the way, ETABS normalize the mode shapes in this second method, that it normalizes such that the modal mass for each mode is equal to 1. So that's how we see that there are different values. The roof number was not 1 in ETABS when we check the mode shapes, because they are not normalized for the using the first method, they are normalized using the second method. So with this, I think discussion, uh, I think we can go now to ETABS. One last thing is that if we use the second approach for normalizing the mode shape such that the modal mass for each mode is 1, in that case the modal vectors can be called as orthonormal also, because they are orthogonal already. We know that if we have two different I and j, the result will be 0. But if we have the same I and I, the result will be 1. So sometimes we can call, if we normalize the mode shapes in this manner, we call them orthonormal. So this product, the capital phi transpose into mass into capital phi, in that case it will be an identity matrix, because all the modal masses will be 1 now, and therefore you will have an identity matrix 1 in the diagonal, and all the off diagonal terms will be 0. For modal stiffness case, if you normalize modes such that the modal masses are 1, then mu I from each entry will not be there, because it is already 1 now. So the modal stiffness matrix will be only comprising of omega square values in the diagonal. So one last thing, that this all discussion was only about M and K, which are already, we know that the mode shapes are orthogonal with respect to M and K. But if we have damping also, and if the damping matrix is also formulated such that phi transpose into C into phi, if it is diagonal matrix just like M and K, we call it the classical damping. But if it is not a diagonal matrix, we call it a non-classical damping, and then that non-classical damping cannot be used for modal analysis. I mean, the formulation is such that the damping matrix should be classical if this idea have to work with damping also. So if we use the mass proportional or stiffness proportional damping, the idea is that we just modify the mass matrix to formulate the C matrix, or the K matrix to formulate, or we use a combination of mass and K matrices proportioned in different manners, and then we sum to formulate the C matrix. In that case, since M and K already have that property that the mode shapes are orthogonal with respect to them, in that case C also will have the same property, because it is being made from the M and K. So the damping should be classical if the modal analysis idea have to work with the with damping also. Otherwise, for non-classically damped structures, the idea of classical modal analysis doesn't work. So now I go back to the same structure, example structure in ETABS, and here what I can do now is that I can extract the mode shapes, maybe first 4 modes. So I can go for first mode here, mode number 1, and enter. So I can extract all of these values from this table. So it is the y direction mode. So let's extract the first 4 modes in x direction, and let's check whether they are orthogonal to each other or not. So I go to mode number 2, and then I extract these values. I copy these values. This is the first mode in x direction, and you can see here that the top number is not 1, because it is normalized such that the modal mass for the first mode is equal to 1. But the pattern is same, so I can copy these values and I can paste here in Excel. So here I have first mode shape. This, let me zoom it a bit. Okay. This is the second mode shape I extracted. Basically it was, I think, the fourth mode or fifth mode according to software numbering, but I call it mode 2 in X direction. Then mode 3 in X direction, mode 4 in X direction. So I have extracted first four modes in X direction. Also I extracted the mass matrix. How I extracted? Basically I go to tables, display, tables, show tables, and then you have the center of the story masses here. I think it should be in the results, then structure results, which is this one, structure results, and then center of mass and rigidity. So I click this one, and then this will report me the center of mass locations as well as the masses lumped at each story. So from here I can get the 10 masses which are lumped at each story. So, and obviously they will be same for X direction and Y direction. So I just extract this column, and this is the mass which is lumped at each story. So I can just copy that column and then arrange all of these masses in diagonal manner, and I construct this mass matrix. So it is a simplified mass matrix which is having only the diagonal entries. So now let's check whether the mode shapes are orthogonal to each other or not. These are the mode shapes. First mode shape, I now first of all normalize them such that the roof number is 1. So here you can see here that I divide all the mode shapes. These are the original mode shapes, these ones from ETABS, and then I normalize such that the roof number is 1. So then I plotted them, first mode, X, second mode, third and fourth mode in X directions. So now let's use the first ones, which is the original ETABS mode shapes, to check the modal orthogonality. So here you can see here that this table I have multiplied now phi matrix, which is comprised from only 4 modes, uh, times the mass matrix, sorry, this should be M because mass matrix is given already, into phi again. But I haven't go for all 10 modes. I just do it for carry out that multiplication for first 4 modes. So you can see here that this number is basically coming from first mode shape transpose multiplied by the mass matrix multiplied by the first mode shape again. So first mode shape transpose is 10 numbers. They are multiplied by with the mass matrix, which is again 10 by 10, multiplied by the first mode again. And I get an answer. This, you can see the formula for matrix multiplication. And I get an answer equal to 1. First of all, by the way, I multiplied phi transpose into M here separately. I think, yeah, here. Yes, phi transpose into M is multiplied for each multiplication separately here, and then it is again multiplied by the phi vector. So the total multiplication is in this you can say area. So this is phi 1 transpose into M into phi 1 again, and you get the answer as equal to 1. And why 1? Because we are using the ETABS mode shapes, and ETABS normalize them such that the modal mass for each mode is 1. But if I multiply the first mode transpose, basically, in fact, it is the uh, phi 2 multiplied by mass matrix, phi 2 transpose multiplied by mass matrix into phi 1. So these are two different modes being multiplied. So now here first mode and first mode, here it is second mode and first mode. Here is third mode and first mode. And here is the fourth mode and first mode. So you can see that all of these off diagonal terms, they are almost negligible, they are almost zero. So these highlighted ones are almost zero, negligible. Similarly, This one is the second mode transpose into mass matrix into first, third mode transpose into mass matrix into first mode. So only the diagonal values are 1. You can see 0.999 is almost 1, 1 point something 1, and all the off diagonal terms are 0. So all the values which I am highlighting are 0, and the matrix is symmetric, by the way. These ones are also 0. So this confirms now, we have just carried out that multiplication to confirm that mode shapes are orthogonal to each other. Only if we multiply first mode with first mode, second with second, third with third, we get a non-zero value. And that non-zero value is modal mass, and that depends on how we normalize the modes. If I use these modes, which I normalize in a different manner, and they are normalized that the roof number is 1, then I again carry out the same multiplication, I get this answer. Again you can see that off diagonal terms are all almost 0, only the diagonal values are non-zero values. And now they are not 1 because they are representing the modal masses, and the mode shapes are not normalized in that manner. So this is the demonstration about verifying the orthogonality property of a real structure, of modes of a real structure. You can extract these mode shapes from ETABS, and you can also use them to carry out your own calculations, or maybe calculate the modal participation factors, or any other purpose.